Do you want to play our new video game?
Got any money?
What is up, space pirates? This is your admiral, the hilariously heinous Dr. Disaster. And the other day we made fun of Dragon Age the Veilguard for being this major AAA release which has had to resort to essentially going free to play in order to get rid of unbought physical copies that are lying around in the Amazon warehouses. But you want to know what's worse than that? Having to pay someone to play your game.
Man, you are one pathetic loser.
You guys remember how earlier this year, Bungie had an alpha session for their upcoming game Marathon, and as you can see here, people dropped out of it rapidly. In fact, it was so poorly received that Bungie pushed the game back from an autumn release this year to sometime in the spring of 2026. This came after we learned that the budget was so high for this title that in order to avoid being considered a flop by Bungie, they had to be among the top 5 hits of 2025.
Delusional thoughts from Fantasy Island.
Yeah, that was never going to happen. As players could see from the footage of the Marathon Alpha, the combat gameplay loops looked slow and poorly constructed, the art was bad, and a good chunk of it was discovered to be stolen. The characters looked like androgynous lumps of nondescript garbage that nobody would want to cosplay as. There were only 3 maps to play on, there was no proximity chat, and these idiots at Bungie were stupid enough to ask $40 for this game when most of the competition is free to play. Everyone who was hoping that this game would be good all had the same reaction.
I am dead inside.
Well, it looks like Bungie is now so desperate to get people reinvested in Marathon that now they are starting up a new program similar to their alpha this past spring, but in order to incentivize players to actually join in, they are offering $500 to play this turd. Think about that for a moment. Most games from developers as well known as Bungie would have people begging to play in an alpha testing event. Saber Interactive, for example, if they had an alpha test for Space Marines 3, there would be a legion of people trying to get involved, but Marathon is forced to offer $500 per person. And even then, I'm sure the sentiment from a lot of people is basically,
It's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
Alright me hearties, make sure that you hit the like button on this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, I've started uploading content onto Rumble, so make sure to follow me over there, and don't forget to follow me over on X. I keep a list of games on there, lousy with wokeness, pinned to my account at all times for your reference. My handle on that platform is Dr. Disaster 1. In any case, let's now talk about Marathon and how these poor dolts at Bungie are having to offer money just to get people to play this stinker. I mean, just think about all of the major shooter franchises out there and how there isn't a single one that would have to resort to this tactic. Halo, Gears of War, Destiny, Call of Duty, Battlefield, absolutely none of those games would have a shortage of people lining up to test their game out. But Marathon was such a poorly received clunker, failing in literally every category where a game could fail. It's so bad that now they are having to humiliate themselves like this. Let's get the details from this article here from Forbes, written by one of my least favorite games journalists, Paul Tassi, the massive corporate ass kisser who generally loves everything that gets put out by a company the size of Bungie. You know things are pretty terrible when even a guy like Paul Tassi is calling this game out and acknowledging that it is having major problems. Anyhow, the article starts off saying, Bungie is continually testing Marathon behind the scenes as it attempts to recover from its poorly received, un-NDA'd closed alpha from earlier this year, while there have been some leaks, including new information and images that show visual improvements. The NDAs have clamped down and tests keep running with tight-lipped players. And let's just be honest here, the tight lips and NDAs this time around are here because Bungie finally realizes how awful and off-putting their game is to the average person. Somebody at Bungie was deluded into thinking that Marathon would be well received, which is why there were no non-disclosure agreements on the first game, but obviously they finally seen the light. But reading on, the article then says, now, Bungie is about to do its most significant test to date, recruiting select testers to play Marathon for an entire month straight, requiring players to play for 1 hour in a specific window of the day every day. Do that, and you can receive $500 at the end of the month for hitting those metrics. And this tells you everything you need to know about the state of the game and the studio's reputation at this point. It is no wonder that their CEO just stepped down. I mean, to be honest, we all know that behind the scenes the dude was forced to step down by the powers that be at Sony. These companies always do that. They do their best to save face for everyone involved when someone loses their job, but the dude was almost certainly pushed out. Anyhow, then the article says, here's the email sent out about this via the game post. We really appreciate your participation and valuable feedback in our monthly closed playtests so far. We are reaching out because you indicated interest in participating in future research opportunities. We would like to invite you to join us for our Marathon 30-day user research study. This user research study is a playtest that will run for 30 consecutive days from Monday, September 8th to Tuesday, October 7th, including weekends. You will be required to play for a minimum of 1 hour daily during the playtest window, and then they list all the time frames that you could be playing the game. And then it says the study is 100% remote, so you can participate from wherever you are located. There will be a short daily survey and a weekly survey to gather your feedback. Upon completing the study, you will receive a $500 gift card of your choice as a thank you for your valuable time and feedback. If you only complete part of the study, you will only receive the portion of the reward based on the number of days that you have completed. Based on this email, it seems clear that Bungie is having a hard time keeping players invested in their game even for this testing. For all the talk in this article about how the game is supposedly improving behind the scenes, you don't offer someone $500 to play a game unless it's a bad game. The sort of people who are invited to participate in these playtests like this are going to be heavily committed gamers, and likely the sort of people who are sympathetic to the sort of vision that Bungie had for Marathon, but even they aren't sticking around and giving Bungie what they need. If you ask me, this is just about the most damning information about Marathon that we have seen yet. It reminds me of this graph here where they lost damn near 80% of their players back in April, just a few days after the alpha started. As gamers have been saying ever since information on this game came out, there are simply no redeeming qualities for Marathon. The gameplay sucks. The lack of maps sucks. The art style sucks. The fact that the art was stolen sucks. The character designs suck. The lame attempt to piggyback off a once well-loved IP without actually being anything like that IP sucks. We don't like anything about Marathon, and when you consider the studio that made it and how at one point it seemed like Bungie could do no wrong, going from the original Marathon games in the 90s to Halo in the 2000s and then to the original Destiny in the 2010s, well, it is pathetic and hilarious how far this studio has fallen, considering how much time they've devoted to social justice BS over the past several years, taking sides in the culture wars. I'm inclined to laugh at their misery, but I'm going to leave it there. Drop your mockery and contempt for Bungie and Marathon into the comment section below, and we will talk there. Thanks for watching me, Hearties. If you haven't already, your Admiral is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.